You are watching T Radio B, radio in TV.
Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
I'm a relationship hack.
Run up and get touched up, suicide. And all of y'all know my style. I excel, then prevail. Run up and get touched up, suicide, that's it. And all of y'all know my style. I excel, then prevail.
You're
Yo, the Zoe What Morning Show is back in the building. Listen, I'm so excited right now because over the weekend, I was in Sacramento.
Yeah.
And when I was telling Kev and Bobby, telling the crew, the impact that this show has on folks, man, I didn't even know. I wasn't even knowing. They rolled out in force. They showed love.
That's dope.
Sacramento, I got to shout out Sacramento, man. Sacramento's in the building. I'll come back up to Sacramento anytime and turn up. It was a successful movement. You had professionals from all walks of life. You had a varied panel. And those children got something out of the event. I
That's
mean,
what I'm talking about.
it was meaningful. Hey, where my record at? You got it for me, Justin? Yeah, I want to hear it. Hey, this is a group. This is a cat out of Sacramento. The brother that was driving me around named Philanda. Brother's cool. Coaching the girls' basketball team. And he representing this group trying to get him out there. Let's give him about 25, 30 seconds. Let's hear this.
Families and build stronger communities. Educate our children, afford them with opportunity. Show them how to love black before they reach puberty, because knowledge itself gives them immunities.
My name is Kat Brooks. I'm the co-founder of the Anti-Police Terror Project, and I'm a member of the Black Power Network, and I'm actually based in Oakland, but here supporting San Francisco. After Mario was murdered, executed in broad daylight in your city, I asked myself, how long is it going to take for the chief to come out and tell the community that we didn't see what we thought we saw on that video? How long was it going to take for the police to come out and tell us that we didn't understand the circumstances surrounding that murder? Because that's the tape. That's what happens every time. We see what happens, and then you trot yourself out and tell us that we are not intelligent enough to understand that we saw a black man.
Man, I love Northern Cali, man. I'm sorry. Hey, start that record over one more time. I just want to hear it from the top. I love Northern Cali. Where was the Black Panthers originated? Come on, man. That spirit is still in Northern California, man. And the youth, just like if you from the East Coast, you go to New York, you can feel the spirit of hip hop. Like the Legends is still in the hood. You can roll up on Dougie. You know, you can roll up on people, and that spirit of hip hop is there. You go to the Northern Cali, that spirit of revolution, conscious, it's there, man. It's there. Let me hear a little piece of this.
Never trust they police because of what the pastors taught us. They lawless and they heartless. They evil and they godless. This is holy war regardless. And it's evident I'm militant. That don't mean I'm violent. Contrary to your rights, it ain't right to remain silent. Not when all our kids are dying. Somebody gotta fight to protect what's right. So when faced with violence, fight is what you do to protect your life. And I can't keep quiet. We can't keep on marching to rallies. I have another riot. Try to boycott, but motherfuckers are still buying and bullets are still flying.
Yeah! He ain't spitting.
Yeah.
Hey, whoever he is, he's spitting. Bobby, is he spitting? Bobby don't like hip hop.
Bobby.
Just throw Bobby right out there right now. Bobby don't even like people.
You got some Bobby Blue Bland. Man, you need to stop.
Where the Bobby Blue Band?
You got
Ain't
some
no
Bobby
music.
Blue Bland?
Ain't no string. Where's the string? Music ain't music without string. You done stole somebody's record, and now you talking over it. I don't want to hear that bullshit. That's Bobby.
Well, I couldn't argue with the dialogue. You know, I would like some instrumentation, but some
But I
instrumentation.
understand, man. You know, they got something that needs to be said. I mean, we're living in a very perilous time, and at least they're coming from a place where they're identifying that they're pretty much, tired of it, sick of it.
Right.
And then I guess somebody can piggyback off of that and then put something behind that that says these are the steps towards a real destiny.
That's why he wrote this book right here. Real Men Don't Play. I need everybody to go out right now and cash Mob Bobby.
Right now.
Go to Amazon.com, cash Mob Bobby right now. Buy this copy. I always call it it's a manual on manhood. And Bobby, got a whole bunch of A-listers to contribute to it. It's a great book. Real Men Don't Play. Go support Bobby Glanton Smith.
Thank you, bro.
There was a brother up there. He wrote this book. It's called The Good Wolf. What happens when a man thinks he can walk a tightrope between doing what is right and doing what he wants. The Good Wolf. And look, he got the bad wolf, the black one right here. This is badass wolf right here. Then he got the little Caucasian wolf that ain't bad, the good wolf. But I love this. This brother wrote this book, very positive book. Sat down and had a chat with him. He bought my book on site, and then 45 minutes later called me after he read the first 3 chapters. Then he just went to Amazon.com and wrote a review on the book. This brother got some knowledge in here, some wisdom in here, and he's been following the show, so I said I have to support the brother's book. Cedric J. Boyd, The Good Wolf, right? The Good Wolf takes you on the constant and eternal struggle where the flesh and the spirit are at war. It's not no bullshit book now. This is some real heat right here.
All right.
And there can only be one winner between your inner good wolf and your inner bad wolf. I know all about that struggle. It's a real struggle we be fighting out here, right?
That's true.
Also, the Relationship Dismount. I urge you to go support this book right now. Go buy your copy right now. If you purchase it now, I mail it out tomorrow. It's all that simple. I mail it tomorrow. IamZoeWilliams.com. Go purchase your copy right now. And while you're at IamZoeWilliams.com, anybody who was in Sacramento saw me blaze fire in 20 minutes. I only had 20 minutes.
Did you burn it down?
I burnt it down. While you're at IamZoeWilliams.com, check out some coaching. Now, WeJuice. WeJuice.com. OUIJUICE.com. WeJuice.com. Keep this black business in business. This brother needs your support. Continue to support this brother's work. Really quickly, promote.
Yo, if you want that online training, online boxing, Muay Thai, kickboxing, any of that, you can just go to 3bbootcamp.com, and that's the number 3, and /BBB online. So we have online boxing, fitness, 1 class, 3 classes for the week, 5-week classes. Just go ahead and knock that out.
And this right here is how you fuck up all them workouts.
Yeah.
This how you ruin
eat that,
all them workouts.
Go ahead and eat that and call me.
Damn. Shepherd Sweets has a new flavor. Man, look at that real quick, Pimp. Open it up. Y'all can eat it. I don't care.
Yeah.
ShepherdSweets.com. You follow this young lady on Twitter at ShepherdSweets1.
Oh, come on, man.
Shepherds with an S, Sweets,
Come on,
Shepherd Sweets 1, right? Instagram's Shepherd Sweets, Facebook Shepherd Sweets. What you're eating right now is called Zebra Crunch white chocolate with walnuts, pecans, and almonds drizzled.
Zebra Crunch.
Zebra Crunch. And it's only available in some treat box she's putting together. I don't understand what a treat box is. We got the exclusive on it, I guess. Go to ShepherdSweets.com and support that young lady. She's doing her thing. Hey, I done promoted some black businesses. Let me see if I got everything. Oh, go to the Area Rose collection. Area is A-R-I. I think it's Aria Rose collection. This is a sister who has her own fine bags, leather bags, wallets, backpacks, all kind of stuff. Black-owned businesses. We just supporting black-owned businesses for free. Who could beat that?
No one.
Black, the black dollar stays here 6 hours.
Thank you.
Free business promotion for companies who probably couldn't afford it if, you know, trying to get off the ground. That's it. Anyway, we're done with that. When we come back,
Nice.
today's top. Hey, wait, put up that Shepherd Sweets, too. I want them to see that. Shepherd's, with an S, Sweets. Support these businesses, man. This is how people stay in business. This is how they stay alive.
Yes.
All right.
And this is how we say eating for free.
Hey, who was them dudes complaining about the community empowerment segment?
Some fool on YouTube, and I hope you listening right now, get your dumb ass. He was complaining that you promote businesses, and he came here for the information, and he ain't got time to listen to you promote business.
Wow.
But he ain't paying for no information.
Well, wait, hold on, Kev. I'm a little disappointed. I gave you time to talk about this nigga. Who is this? Okay. Thank you. We're on to the next. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, the show will begin with that information you didn't like waiting on. We'll be right back.
You are watching T Radio V. Radio in TV.
Hey geeks, wake up! We've got big news. I'm not gonna mumble this time. Geekscape, the long-running movie video game. Let me do one more. Hey geeks, we got big news! Geekscape, your favorite show about movies, video games, comics, and TV, is coming to T Radio V Monday, October 6th. And it'll be on every Monday from then on, 7 p.m. Until the apocalypse happens, we're all eaten by zombies.
And it's Mary Carey, of course, politically naughty with Mary Carey.
I'm always naughty. I'm always politically. My behavior is always politically
naughty.
I'm never politically correct.
Dr.
Drew, hi. Oh, I'm so.
Guys, how are you?
It's all teary-eyed, Doctor.
I know. She wished she could live at rehab.
But only if Dr. Drew's there. Obviously,
Sure.
if someone like, you know, because a little too groping might be inappropriate. But I like the flirting and stuff.
When I walked in, you shoved my head in your.
No! Are you gonna sue me?
Get politically naughty with Mary Carey. Mondays at 4 p.m. on T Radio V.
You are watching T Radio V. Radio in TV.
So they got a little taste of power, and it did effectively divide and conquer those coalitions. Those rebellions began to stop almost instantly. Fast forward to the Civil War era, you have rich white folks in the South, where I come from, standing up and openly admitting that the reason they're prepared to secede from the Union, and the only reason they ever articulated publicly, ever, was to maintain and extend slavery and white supremacy not only where it already existed, but into the newly acquired, that is to say, stolen territories from Mexico to the West. That was what they said. Now we lie about it. We say it wasn't about slavery. It was about states' rights. Yes, the right of the states to keep and maintain slaves. Because if you know the history of the whole concept of whiteness, if you know the history of the whole concept of the white race, where it came from and for what reason, you know that it was a trick, and it's worked brilliantly. See, prior to the mid to late 1600s in the colonies of what would become the United States, there was no such thing as the white race. Those of us of European descent did not refer to ourselves by that term really ever before then. In fact, in the old countries of Europe, we had spent most of our time killing each other. We didn't love each other. We weren't one big happy family. The side of my family that comes from Scotland, hell, they didn't even worry about fighting people outside of Scotland. Highlanders and Lowlanders just fought the hell out of each other. So there was no white race, but in the colonies of what would become the United States, What did we see in the 1660s, 1670s? We began to see that Africans of indentured servant status, many of them not enslaved yet, they were not necessarily permanently enslaved. Some were, others were indentured, like many poor Europeans, for periods of 7 to 11 years. They could work off their indenture, and then they would be free labor, technically. Realized, as did the white indentured servants, the Europeans who hadn't even been called white yet, that they had a lot of things in common, like the fact that they were all getting their clock cleaned by the elite. And so they would get together, more than our history books taught us, to foment rebellion against the elite, to try to get a better deal for themselves on the basis of economic necessity and economic justice. And what did the elite do? When you see that you're outnumbered by black and white folks who are penniless, landless, peasants, you have to do one of two things. You either have to kill them all, but you can't do that because who's going to work? Rich folks weren't going to. They had to get poor people to work. Whole point was to be a person of leisure back in those days. That was the goal, was not to work. So you couldn't kill them all. You didn't want to kill them all. You have to do the work yourself. You have to build your own levee, build your own house. No. Pick your own tobacco, harvest your own cotton. No, we're not going to do any of that. So you can't kill them, but you can co-opt them. And so the elite in Virginia, for example, in the colony, begins to give certain carrots to people of European descent, saying things like, you know, we're going to let you own a little land. Not much, but just a little. And we're going to get rid of indentured servitude. Now you're free labor. And by the way, once you're free labor, you get 50 acres of land. Just because you're free labor, see? So we're going to cut you in on this deal. We're going to let you enter into contracts. We're going to let you testify in court. And here's the best of all. We're going to put you on the slave patrol to keep those people in line, right? The idea was you're still going to get your clock cleaned. We still don't like you. We still aren't going to really empower you or change your economic subordination, but we're going to make you honorary members of this team, and you're going to help us keep those other people down. And so they got a little taste of power, and it did effectively divide and conquer those coalitions. Those rebellions began to stop almost instantly.
Well, that brings us to today's topic. It's somewhat controversial. First off, I'm going to have Tim Wise back on this show.
Please do.
Right? He's been on a couple of times. Okay. Been on this show, been on The Voice of Reason. But I'm going to question him on his critique of Frances Cress Welsing. I think it's only right that we hold his feet to the fire. I love what he's talking about in this video, but we need to double back and see what he was talking about. A lot of people come at me and be like, yo, fuck him. You put him on your show and he was talking shit about the elder. Fuck him. You know how black people are. You can't, listen, you can't cross us.
What did he say exactly about it?
Basically, he said she was like, her information was a crock. Like, it
really?
Yeah. He kind of came that way. So it's like, we going to have to, you know, she was definitely no crock. We already know the information she laid down was empirical study, you know. You don't become Dr. Frances Cress Welsing by reading comic books. So we're going to challenge him on that. And I think we should do that intellectually, That's right? But he did bring up an amazing point. What were white people called before they were called white? And when they turned white, which was a way of hiding their ethnic origins or their national origins, right? Because remember back in the day, white people became white people because they didn't want to be referred to as what they came over here as. Whatever, if they English, Scottish, Italian, no, I'm white. So my question is, by becoming white, did that open the door for Africans to now then be called black? And are these legal concepts, social constructs, or cultural ones, or both?
All.
Or none.
Or none. The reason why this is important, because you got an unconscious, while at the same time self-conscious, black, right, population here in America who are trying to define success by doing some shit that white people have established for themselves. Exactly. White people wrote a narrative of what success is. An Oscar, I need to hold that. That's successful when it comes to movie making. That's the highest honor for movie making. So when black people are left out, it becomes this big thing about diversity, right? And you already know my stance on diversity. Wherever you go looking for diversity, it means there is none, and it means you asking for some from the power structure that can either dole it out or ignore you.
That's right.
So that doesn't necessarily solve the problem. So when I see black people saying, where are we in this picture? I'm saying that sounds like a person who's lost looking to be included in an already established picture.
Yes.
So the topic for today is, did the white man create what we now know as the black man today?
Absolutely.
Because they can't free no slaves who got their ass beat for 400 years without fear of some retribution. So if I'm going to free the slaves, I need to make sure that mentally they still enslaved. And that's a kind of manufactured kind of being.
Yes.
That's a... Bobby, what you got for me on that?
A mess. A hot one at that. As you were saying that, I kind of like tried to process that, knowing full well black was an evolution for some of us. At some point, I'm sure that you can empirically, identify when it became the moniker for people of color. But some of us went through a different kind of progression. So by the time we got around to being black, we had become all these other things, and I don't want to regurgitate that to
like
people.
Colored.
Oh my goodness, that's on my birth certificate. Okay,
that's on your birth certificate.
Absolutely.
What? Wow.
Yeah, colored. Many years I was proudly colored. We said
right.
colored. And if you called me a Negro, that was
disrespectful.
That's
right.
Wow.
Negro. So we upgraded to Negro after colored became embarrassing, and then we became black around the late 60s.
That was,
and then we transitioned into African American. That's when I got off the ship right there. I said, hold it. This is just too many different ways to refer to me, and I'm going to stick with the ones that are most familiar. So I go with black simply because, depending on what time of the year it is, I'm closer to that than I am pretty much everything else. So I'll go with that. But somebody said something a long time ago that really kind of bailed me out of all of that confusion. It's not what you call me, it's what I answer to. And it depends who I'm talking to. When I'm around my elders, and they're in their 80s and 90s, and they'll say, hey, what, you see that colored fellow over there? I'm like, yeah, I know who you're talking about, And then some people will use the word Negro just to piss you off.
Right.
And I'm one of them. If I call you a Negro, it's usually because you've done something that offended me. But all of that stuff, man, really becomes problematic when I look at what we're most challenged with right now, and that is, how do we eat?
Yes.
And that gets in the way for me a lot of times because we get distracted with whether it's African American. Because if you get all these folks in one room, the coloreds, the Negroes, the African Americans, and the blacks, by the time you figure out how we're going to address each other, we done forgot that we having a problem eating. So that's kind of my
and in some
initial
cases,
reaction to that.
Drinking.
Well, don't even get me started.
Flint, Michigan.
Yeah.
Oh, the water, yeah.
Well, here's what's interesting about what's happening in Flint as it relates to the title. When it was a black problem, they just kept poisoning the people. But when they put the face of them white kids on it, hold it, time out, we got to fix this, stop the water right now, and get that fresh shit in here.
And they knew they was cutting corners when they put that water system in there, but they was 80% black, so they didn't give a shit.
But it's not so much being 80% black. I'll give you an example right here in Los Angeles. There's a couple of communities, like Baldwin Hills, where they used to be black. It ain't no more. The white folks have moved back. But when they call the police and they say, where you at, Baldwin Hills, the response is a little faster because of the economics.
Right.
So you can't always dismiss the importance of not only the color of your skin, but the length of your bankroll. Makes a difference.
That's what it's all about.
Makes a difference.
Pretty much anyway.
Kev?
As Zoe knows.
Are we black people or not? You had a big argument with Michael Collier on this show, and Michael was saying, I'm black.
Yeah.
It wasn't just Mike. Me and him both had an issue.
Everybody was like, "What?
Yeah.
Well, I came to.
Where does this bullshit come from?
I didn't
You
go
can't
that
take
far.
blackness from us."
I'm taking blackness from all you motherfuckers. So after the day, if you call yourself black, you're gonna know you're calling yourself a slave.
Well, that's pretty much what we still are.
Not me. I ain't no slave.
I hear them chains rattling now.
So, as Zoe knows, I've been into the history and the law behind nationality for a long time, and so the word black, and so this all has to deal with status and class. I mean, this is what society deals with, and so it gets you focused on racism to get you away from understanding what status and class is. And so I just want to read some legal definitions of class first. So the legal definition of class is the order or rank according to which persons or things are arranged or assorted. And then status, the rights, duties, capacities, and incapacities which determine a person to a given class. So you guys need to understand, this whole thing is about what your status is in society. So back when in the early 1600s, there were no slave. There was the word slave wasn't used as far in America or in the colonies. It was indentured servitude, and both melanated people and Caucasian people were both indentured servants. And so you had the plantation owners basically just wreaking havoc on them. So until one time there was this, in 1676, there was something called Bacon's Rebellion. And Bacon's Rebellion was this dude named Nathaniel Bacon. He was a plantation owner, newly plantation owner who came over from England, and he wanted a lot more of the land when he got over there in Jamestown. And so the governor of Jamestown, Berkeley, he didn't want to give up any more land because he had been the governor over there for about 30 years, and he had given all the land to all his homies. So when the new guy came over there, he wanted more land. So he was like, well, let's kill off some of these Native Americans, these Indians, and, you know, just hand out some of the land. He didn't want to do that because the Native Americans had already instituted a raid on Jamestown and killed like 2/3 of the people there before, years before. So he's like, we're not going to fuck with these motherfuckers because if we piss them off, they're going to kill us. So what Nathaniel Bacon did was, because his parcel of land was way out where there was no water and stuff like that. So he riled up all the indentured servants. He said, look, man, all these motherfuckers are over there. They're at least, they're not paying you. They're not doing this and they're not doing that. So he riled them up and he said, look, we need to go and snatch what they got. So literally all the melanated or black and white servants, indentured servants, they joined together and literally squashed all the plantation owners. And they ran Jamestown for about 9 months. And so when that happened, the elite got together and was like, look, we can't fuck around with this shit. If these motherfuckers come together, we're done. So this is when they came up with the idea of white privilege, or white, was called back then white skin privilege, and the white race. Because the word white man doesn't appear in any legal books until 1691. And so they actually had to condition most of the Caucasian people to believe that they were white, because nobody identified with that. They were either Dutchmen or Frenchmen or wherever they came from, whatever their country was. So when after Bacon's Rebellion and a few more rebellions, where all the slaves had got together, the servants got together to smash them, they were like, look, we need to create something to break them up. So that's when they started putting around town, be a white man, this and that. So they were putting up signs and this and that shit and telling the Caucasian servants, look, you're not servants anymore. You're going to be free labor. Like, so they're going to still be they're still going to be servants. You're going to be free labor, and you're going to be able to watch over them. We're going to allow you to testify in court. We're going to give you certain little bit of bullshit. They didn't really give them much, but for somebody who doesn't have anything, when you give somebody a cracker and they starving, they think, you know what I'm saying? They think they got a feast, and that was enough for them to be able to take on the mantle of the white race or white man, and think that they were superior to the melanated servants. And so that's how it instituted at first, and then
we got to go to break. That's what that music means.
All right, so when we come back though, we're gonna break more of this shit down, cause
word up. I love it.
I've been trying to get this shit off for a long ass time.
Well, you're gonna have to wait.
Let's get it then.
You got 2 minutes. We'll be back in 2.2.
Let's get it.
So what morning show? You ain't black no more.
Until we get back.
You are watching T Radio V, radio in TV.
T Radio V. What did you play opposite Andy, Eric? Do you remember?
Andy and I worked as two employees at a network.
Okay.
Oh, you're forgetting the other thing.
I played a news anchor, and he played a reporter.
Okay, but the other thing you did, the thing you did on the Andy Dick show, who did you play to Andy?
Oh, is that in play my sister?
You played his wife, Denise.
Yeah.
Yeah, you played his wife.
Yeah. So what's wrong with that, Elijah?
Nothing's wrong with it.
He's got a great range as an actor.
Yeah, it just was funny.
Encounters with Eric and Eliza Roberts, Wednesdays from 2 to 4 p.m. on T Radio V.
Hey, I'm Dean Cain, and you are watching T Radio V. I'm watching it too. Right now. Seriously.
Hey, my fellow thoughters out there. I'm Charles Shaughnessy. Check out my new show, Here's a Thought, with Charles Shaughnessy, August the 7th, 3 p.m. PST, right here on T Radio V. Now, you know I have a lot to say, but I want to hear what you have to say. So tune in, grab your phones, call me, tweet me, email me in the studio, and let's get this conversation going. Here's a Thought, starting August the 7th, 3 p.m. PST, right here on T Radio V. That's radio in TV.
Kids are dying. Somebody gotta fight to protect what's right. So when faced with violence, fight is what you do to protect your life. And I can't keep quiet. We can't keep on marching to rallies. I have another riot trying to boycott, but most of them cause it's still buying and bullets are still flying and Indians are still dying and people.
3 or more slaves to meet without an attendant. So the slave codes in their mature form are one of these consequences of having enough Africans enslaved in the colonies that the British colonists want a legal system that separates white and black. And of course, that's the only way that you're going to ensure that one group of people are masters and that the other are enslaved. You have to keep them separate. Number 2, another consequence is the promotion of racism. And again, we're seeing this on both sides of this equation, and racism is one of the forces that plays a part in the beginning of African slavery, but it's also reinforced and enhances slavery over time. And whites promote the racism to justify slavery. And this is a vicious cycle that works with slavery in turn, justifies racism. It's a cycle that feeds back on itself, a loop that feeds back on itself. Number 3, the wealthy whites use the racism to prevent the poor uniting against them. One of the things that the wealthy slave owners fear is that the poor whites and the enslaved will realize that in many cases, in many ways, they have a common cause against the wealthy slave owners. But racism is used by the wealthy whites to indicate to the poor whites that under any circumstance their lot is better, and that in fact in slavery helps to ensure that the poor whites are not at the lowest rung of the social ladder. And a particular mechanism here were slave patrols. Often poor and wealthy did not interact socially, but the slave patrols, which were organized by county and district, were places in which poor and wealthy whites met, and in the course of meeting, there would be an interaction that reinforced a degree of superiority that the poor whites should feel over those who were enslaved. In other words, all whites, regardless of how poor, were better than the blacks. Number 3, miscegenation laws.
Yeah.
So racism, construct. White, construct. Black, construct. what happened? Because now, help me to understand this. Because you see what happens when diplomats from other countries come over here, might get into a little bit of trouble, but still have diplomatic immunity and get dealt with differently because they're not a citizen of this country, and they have to almost be tried by different rules.
Absolutely.
Are you telling me by saying you can't call yourself what you used to be or what you were or renaming it, that they put you in a particular kind of jurisdiction? How does being a color align with the color of law?
Well, the word color in law means the word color means the act or the semblance without the substance. So it literally means that you're not real. So by saying that you are a color, black or white, I mean it doesn't matter. Each one of those are the same in law. It's a color, and it means that you're not real. So it only plays a part in the minds of the people. Whereas, white people, because they've been told this for so long, or Caucasian people, they believe because they're white, they're of an upper class, and black people believe they're of a lower class. But it's only because of the status in which you claim. And there were many different statuses on the books in those times. And one of those, as I've said on the show before, was Moor. And Moors, they weren't servants. I mean, they could have been, but their status they were free. And there was a legal act in Virginia in 1682. And I just wanted to read this real quick. And it says, "It is enacted that all servants which shall be imported into this country, either by sea or by land, whether Negroes, Moors, mulattoes, or Indians, who and whose parentage and native countries are not Christian at the time of their first purchase by some Christian, and all Indians which shall be sold by our neighboring Indians, or any other trafficking with us for slaves, are hereby adjudged, deemed, and taken to be slaves to all intents and purposes."
Oh, God.
To all intents and purposes,
boy.
and any law, usage, or custom to the contrary, notwithstanding. Now, that last line is a legal term, notwithstanding. What that means is you will be deemed to be, any one of those terms, you will be deemed to be a slave until you prove otherwise as far as your status. Now, a Moor could prove that they weren't slaves. I mean, that was on the books back then. There was acts, there was things enacted.
But it
back
seemed
then.
like white people were ignorant back then, like some of them are ignorant now, because a police officer, when he pull you over, he don't really know the laws.
No.
So, and I'm just saying, you might get pulled over and just you look like a black person.
Yes.
Hey, well, I got papers, officer.
Well, you're not.
You show the papers.
Well, you're not really supposed to talk law with a police officer. That's not who. He doesn't know shit. Your status is to claim within court. This is where your that will play out. So if you get pulled over,
so you can still get your ass beat by the officer.
Yeah,
but then in court, or even killed, right?
You might not even get to court.
But I mean that's different down the line. There's different ways to deal with officers when you have that different status. But the point to assert that status, or the time to assert that status, is in court. It's not in front of a police officer where you can get your ass beat, because he's not going to know anything. And in some cases, the judge needs to be taught because they don't even understand certain laws. So that's where you will get that type of status off. And so the term Moor, and I don't claim that everybody goes out and start calling yourself Moor immediately, especially without learning what that means. But the term Moor was pretty much the only term that we had on the books that we were free, that we were completely free.
Interesting. Bobby?
Most of what is being said is irrefutable if you can defend it from a intellectual perspective. But the wonderful thing about language and the interpretation of language is who can impose their interpretation of right and wrong. You can go down to West Virginia, certain parts of Mississippi, Alabama, and parts of California, and see the kind of poverty that we relate mostly to people of color. And what's interesting is the difference in terms of their perception of being poor. They would rather be white and live in that trailer park than to relate to other people who have the same economic status and change that condition based upon their perception of whiteness. You know, some people really believe that white is really that important, and they ain't got no teeth in their mouth. You know, you got to be kidding me, man. You know? It's an amazing thing that has happened over the last several hundred years in terms of how people have been pitted against each other, who, when you look at what they actually have and do not have, they either have more or less in common than they're willing to admit. And as long as that condition exists, we're going to all be on the edge of racial strife, which means the people at the top, that 1% that people refer to, will sit back comfortably and say, we're going to just have to just wait them out till they go ahead and figure out how this thing really works.
Tony, you just got here. So we're talking about who created the black man, the social construct of the black man.
Wow.
Because my question for everybody is, before white men, quote unquote, called themselves white, did we automatically refer to ourselves as black?
No.
Or
not at all.
Where there was no black kingdom to say, hey, we black people.
No.
The word black didn't come around till 1966 when they started having conferences on being called either Negro, black, or African American.
But what about African terms like Kush, the black face, or for the Persians who think the people who live in Persia today who really think they're the Persians, or the Iraqis who really live today, they had a group of people back there called Kish.
Yes.
The blackheads.
Right. Or yes, even the Sumerians were called the Sagiga, which mean the dark-headed ones.
The Phoenicians, the purple dudes running around.
Right. The Moor comes from Tamore, which is what they used to call Africa and their lands over there, which meant the dark land.
Right.
So not the black land. Black is a different word. When black was being used in the ancient times, you can go back and look where the Norsemen were using something called blacker. That term was being used, but it was being used mostly for pale. It was and swart was the actual word. Swarthy was the term that they used for what we call black people today.
Yeah.
So, and it didn't mean black, it meant dark. See, the term black, when most people think mean black, it doesn't mean that. Black comes from bleak, and it means pale or yellow.
Same as white, like Blanc, like Casablanca, house, the White House.
Yeah, exactly. Even all those words, like if you go back and it comes from a word like beige. And if you look up beige is still the same color. All these different terms come about with the same complexion. But
so this might be genius. We're on the precipice of a great understanding here. If black means white, and the white man created a term white to get away from his ethnic roots or national roots so he could build a new nation, if he's got a group of slaves that he's preparing to free because of whatever pressure that's happening inside of the country. Damn, I got to free 4 million people, 1860. We're going to call them black, but we can't call them black until they have a white mind. Seeing that black actually means white.
Yep. Damn.
We might be on the precipice of how the fuck the black man came into existence.
And then where do we go with that?
To me, it all lines up. Samuel Cartwright, the father of psychiatry. If a nigga wants to run away, something must be wrong with him.
What?
He has drapetomania.
Drapetomania. Yep.
And the only way to cure drapetomania is to pull out this whip and whip his ass, because he got to be crazy to want to run away from massa.
Yep.
So now you're starting to see this mentality. Every level of what is considered to be successful or desirous to have in one's life, whether it be the American dream, got to go to sleep to dream, whether it be that house, whether it be 2.5 kids and a dog, life insurance, car insurance, cable, Halloween party, Christmas, all the shit that is considered normal is through his filter.
Yes.
Damn.
Everything. If you sit down and say, what's yours? Well, Kwanzaa is ours. No, that nigga was a CIA agent.
Thank you.
Now, that,
Yeah.
okay.
What title did you create for yourself?
Do you understand?
All these things that people that melanated people are calling themselves, they didn't create. What title did you create for yourself? That's the main thing. When they first started to try and do away with or create the race separation, it started with a slave named Elizabeth Key Grinstead, and she was the first slave to sue for her freedom, and her father was a Britishman, a guy from British, and her mother was a slave. And her father, though, when she was a kid, he baptized her because there were English laws that stated if you were baptized, you couldn't be a slave. And also, there was a law stating that it was called descent following the status of the father. So whatever your father was, whatever status your father was in law, that would befall the children. So she used that statute or that law and got her freedom. She sued. Her husband she had a common law husband who was an indentured servant. He was a white indentured servant. And that was her common law husband, and he took it to court, and they sued and got her freedom. After they did that, they changed the law from descent following the status of the father to descent following the status of the mother, because most melanated women were slaves at that time. So that meant if the babies that the women would have, they would also be slaves because they couldn't lose. They were losing their workforce. They saw that if most of the plantation owners were fucking the women, and they were having kids, then the kids would be able to be free. So we have to change that status so that we don't lose our labor force as far as the kids. So that's when they changed that, and that started the ball rolling on trying to separate the two races.
Wow. Well, look, how does this melanated thing play into 2016 when you're finding, I don't know statistically what it is, but I'm seeing more and more interracial marriages where they're having these mixed biracial kids and all that. How does the melanated thing play into all of this?
This is so awesome. I just came from Sacramento. It's a lot of that going down.
All in the Bay Area.
It's a lot of that going down.
It's been going down.
But
Bay Area to Seattle. That's what's up.
But what's interesting about it is this. If white and black are legal social constructs, then when white and black get together, they create a new construct, biracial.
Bam.
These motherfuckers ain't slick.
No.
Now we're going to create a third race.
Yep. Biracial. Yep. I just want real quick that the first lady who sued for her freedom, Elizabeth Key Grinstead, her great grandson is Johnny Depp.
Wow.
What? Yep.
Okay, look, we gotta take a quick break. Oh,
Bam.
It's going crazy right now. Who created the black man?
Bam.
What the monkeys?
Wow.
You are watching T Radio V, radio in TV.
Hey, what's up? It's Tone Loc in the house, and you're tuned into T Radio V.
I'm Laura Samoza.
I'm Sterling Gardner.
And we are Between the Sheets every Monday here, 3 p.m., TRadioV.com.
T Radio V.
That's right. It's T Radio V, radio in TV. What is that face?
He wants to see our hands.
That's radio in TV.
Wah, 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 wah. We're not a couple.
Hi, I'm Ty Simpkins. Miss Danielle Basutti. Hi, this is Brooke Peoples. I'm Jocelyn Donahue.
Hi, I'm Keegan Allen, and you're watching
T Radio V. T Radio V.
T Radio V, radio in TV. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yes.
T Radio V. Yo.
T Radio V. Radio in TV. Radio in TV. T Radio V.
What did you play opposite Andy, Eric? Do you remember?
Andy and I worked as employees at a network.
Okay. Oh, you're forgetting the other thing.
I played a news anchor and He played a reporter.
Okay, but the other thing you did, the thing you did on the Andy Dick show, who did you play to Andy?
Oh, is that play my sister?
You played his wife, Denise.
Yeah.
Yeah, you played his wife.
Yeah.
You
So
guys
what's wrong
have
with that, Elijah?
Nothing's wrong with it.
He's got a great range as an actor.
Yeah, it just was funny.
Encounters with Eric and Eliza Roberts, Wednesdays from 2 to 4 p.m. on T Radio V.
Hi, I'm Rob Hubel from Welcome to the Jungle. You're watching T Radio V, aren't you? Radio on TV. Terrible idea.
In TV.
You shut up. Use that one.
You are watching T Radio V. Radio in TV.
On the back of the first edition of The Invention of the White Race in 1994, on the back cover, Allen has this passage. When the first Africans arrived in Virginia in 1619, there were no white people there, nor, according to the colonial records, would there be for another 60 years. The word white does not appear in a Virginia colonial record until 1691. White identity, as he explains, had to be carefully taught, and it would be another 60 years, right, before it would appear as an indicator of social status. I want to just emphasize.
It's 3 of them? All right, look, that was one little clip showing how white people as a social construct didn't exist. We got another little piece. Do you have the other piece? Play that one too. Here we go.
To these 3 theses. First, the white race was invented as a ruling class social control formation. Not simply a social construct, but a ruling class social control formation in response to labor solidarity, that what I just showed you, that labor solidarity as manifested in the latter Civil War stages of Bacon's Rebellion. That's number 1. Number 2, a system of racial privileges was deliberately instituted, conscious ruling class policy. This is not simply what's the phrase they use? Institutional racism, you know, with nobody driving the ship. This is directed by the ruling class, by the late 17th, early 18th century Anglo-American bourgeoisie, and they instituted this system in order to define and establish the white race, and in so doing, establish a system of racial oppression.
Yeah. Okay. Now, there's another piece. All right, so you talked about Bacon's Rebellion. And that's when these people figured out, I got to keep the African poor slaves away from the white peasantry, because they got more in common, right, with each other than the white poor peasantry has in common with the white elite class. So let me put a division there. This is why I had to create white. So the white poor people, the poor peasantry, could feel like I'm with them. We together.
Okay.
Right?
That nigga just gave me a sandwich.
By creating the overseer, slave patrols,
taking away the term servant and making them free labor.
Because a lot of people don't know you had
Free
slave,
labor.
but you also had serf.
Yes,
You remember the land slave? Speak to the land slave, and then we'll go to that next piece.
Yeah, the serf is just was just bonded to the land. So, you know, whereas a regular slave, what's the difference between chattel? You got chattel property. Most people think chattel slavery means some crazy big ass shit. It don't mean nothing but movable property. The word chattel in law just means movable. It means you're not tied to the ground. So there was chattel slavery.
We could send this
chattel
nigga over
property.
to that plantation
Yes,
if we wanted to.
Exactly. That's all that shit means. Anything you can pick up and move with, any property you can pick up and move with you is chattel. So the serf was just somebody tied to the land. So if I sold my plantation to somebody else, it would come with a land slave, being able to till the ground and this and that. And that's the difference between the two.
Right. Give me that third piece.
So what Alan's arguing is that the white race is no part of genetic evolution. He's arguing that the white race, as I said, is a ruling class social control formation.
Could you just say that again?
It's no part of genetic evolution, right? It's a political, it's done politically, it's a political construct. And he's saying it's a ruling class social control formation, not simply a social construct. And why this is important, and I've mentioned this.
First off, I'm just going to say, I got to say this. After hearing that, how can a nigga go to sleep and be okay with acting right?
Thank you.
God, the pressure. That was designed as a political a political ruling class.
But not a real ruling class, a pseudo ruling class.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you don't really got no money. You can't really
Bobby.
do shit.
The question then becomes, how do you deconstruct that?
First, by gaining the knowledge. A lot of times, when you don't know better, right, it's hard for you to make the proper choice or the best decision,
right?
Because you're ill-informed. But once you're informed, you're responsible, and I'll tell you how. What was that school down here on Slauson? They used to turn out the little black geniuses.
They still do. The Marcus Garvey.
Marcus
School.
Garvey. Yep. That's
They go a number one solution
yes.
right there.
Yes.
See, when you don't own your education, right?
Yes.
You really don't have no real knowledge of self, no real self-worth. So then you go outside of self to achieve and attain benchmarks that were created by this ruling class under the guise of what is considered success. Go ahead.
It's interesting you was thinking about the Garvey School because I raised funds for the Garvey School in the 90s. And most of the money that we raised, unfortunately, came from corporate America. And here's why. They had started to realize that American intelligentsia was diminishing. And the engineers and scientists that they needed were coming more and more from the Asian population. So Shell Oil Company and a couple of other major corporations gave me more contributions than I got from the brothers and the sisters in the community. Right. And it was very challenging to get the people at the school to understand what was going on. Dr. Ian Palmer, who founded the school, we sat in his office one day and he said, Bobby, you done brought me 3 checks from Shell Oil Company. That's more money than I done got out of the community in the last 5 years. And it bothered him. And I said, Doc, it's real simple. They need geologists and engineers. You have some of the brightest minds in our community at this school. They are betting on the fact that they can offer them enough money to overcome the consciousness that you're teaching them.
You see that? You see that?
That when they become alumni of this school and go out and make that money, they're not going to pour it back into the institution that provided them with the foundation that created the wealth that they now have. And here we are. That was in the 90s. That was like 94, 95, 96.
You know one thing, too, about the Marcus Garvey School? A senator went on a tour at the Marcus Garvey School.
I tell you who it was. I was there when he was there. From Florida.
Yeah.
I forgot his name, man.
This dude is hilarious. They took him around. He went to the 2nd grade. They were speaking Swahili.
Yeah.
And
I tell you, he was the guy from his foreparents were the baseball people or whatever. I was there when he did that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I saw a video that this one cat did. Again, something Stokely. I forgot his name, but so he did a video because the guy, after he visited the Marcus Garvey School, he went back to Congress and he gave a speech. And he told them that we need to get our schools up because I just went to this Marcus Garvey school and he started pumping. He's like, man, because they have competitions where they put the 5th graders at the Marcus Garvey school against like 8th graders in Beverly Hills, and they be smashing the shit out of them. Like 5th graders against 8th graders.
See, please understand, this is about the African American community today. And we're going to call them blacks because that's who they are. That's how they're socialized. That's how they're cultured to be.
Right.
They have no idea of what they called themselves before
That's right.
they were labeled as black.
Yes.
Right.
So guess what's important to black people? See, now we can talk about the Oscars. You see? Now we can talk about BMWs.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yep.
We're not talking about education. Fuck education. See, education ain't the same as it was when we knew who we were.
Right.
When we knew who we were as a being, listen to this, as a being on planet Earth, we knew our place on the earth.
Yes.
Right.
We knew Earth's place in the universe.
Right.
We understood things like that. That's education.
Thank you.
Now, education is a set of behaviors, when executed at the proper time, will get you through certain doors. That's education now.
Damn.
It's a caveat to that. When you look at generations, right? Because I know a lot of times I'm listening to people now, and they say, well, you know, getting an education is not that important because you're going to end up doing this with it and that with it. A lot of it depends on the conditioning, and also what is your purpose. All right? Now, if we send kids to school and don't tell them, look, you are to take this information and build a nation within a nation, then they're not going to have a frame of reference when they come out of that school experience, because you send them into a world that's telling them, get this education so you can get these things. All right?
Yes.
As opposed to get this in education to change the condition of your people, of your community, of your world.
Yes.
Yeah,
They're not trying to do that.
So you have to kind of reverse that notion that just becoming smarter is going to be sufficient. It's not going to change very much if that person is not conscious of the role he has to play in the broader society.
You just education is consciousness. If you don't walk out of an educational institution aware, you haven't been educated.
Nope.
You can be educated, but it's a conditioning. I heard a commercial this morning that shows that you can be, you know, just tremendously intelligent, but they can steer you to a form of intelligence that'll kill you.
You're talking about Ben Carson.
No, I'm talking about this guy. That's a shot below the belt. But no, they was running this commercial about people who now have trouble going to the bathroom, right? And they were saying, look, if you're having trouble going to the bathroom, go back to your doctor and get this other prescription to take this pill to allow you to go to the bathroom to override the pill.
The side effects from that pill.
Yeah.
And I said,
internal bleeding.
And then that one more pill for the other pill.
Right. And by the time you get through, you'll be dead, you know. But this is such an important conversation when you talk about labels, all right? Because at some point, whether you call a person melanated or black or whatever, how do you view that person? And how do they view himself? And I know that conditioning is important, but my major concern right now is we don't have a whole lot of time to try to raise everybody to a melanated consciousness. Because by the time we get there, I don't know how many of us would be left. Because of the acuteness of the problem.
But you don't need many. You just need some strong ones. You don't need a gang of motherfuckers.
Well,
they need the right ones.
But they have to be in a position to influence,
to do something with
the mass.
But that's what I'm saying. You just need the right ones.
Yeah, I understand that.
But the right ones are they're surrounded by the wrong ones.
But
so how do you get a right one who's surrounded by the wrong ones to be the right one in the first place?
Well,
no, but you know what's interesting? If we had the consciousness that Bobby was just saying, you know, it's going to be difficult to get everybody to that level. Mm-hmm. If a few of us had that consciousness who now reside in Flint, Michigan,
right,
there would at least be a base of people working together to resolve an issue that's currently poisoning black people in that city. And like you said, until the problem poured over into white areas in Detroit, there was no sense of emergency.
Wasn't even tripping. They wasn't tripping.
2 years they had that shit out there. They was feeding
brown water.
They was like, shh. The first, tell the black folks it's chocolate milk.
The first person with means that uses those means to impact the basic needs of people, you'll see a sea change. And that's what we have to, I think, work on is how do we identify those people that we can get that are somewhat comfortable in that place they're in right now to move just a little towards the direction that we're talking about right now, because so many people believe in them more than they believe in anything else. It's not going to come out of the church because that's already been bifurcated to the extent where if you bring up religion, you just send people scattering in all these different directions. But the essential needs, and fortunately for us, there's enough things going on right now that we're going to have to deal with. The water situation is one. The environment in general is another issue that's going to bring us to a point where we got to deal with it. And then just eating. You know,
Bobby, you remember, and Kev, y'all remember we did the show on water, the Thirsty Nation.
Oh yeah, right. Yep.
We talked about America. America is beautiful when it comes to imagery. And remember that movie with Bruce Lee?
Oh yeah,
Enter the Dragon. You destroy the image, you destroy the man. America is about imagery. The image is, relax everybody, it's okay, there's enough water to go around.
Right.
One city is in trouble right now because the water situation hasn't been dealt with. Bobby mentions the food situation hasn't been dealt with. See, what happens with us, we buy into the image that they selling us thinking everything is going to be okay. And while we're buying into that, we're wasting valuable time that we could be using to organize, to prepare for pending situations that are on the horizon.
We just need one famous, conscious, motivated dude. If we can get that dude and really
he also got to be a reverend.
Why you got to be a reverend?
We got to make a perfect nigga. He got to be a singer, be able to tap dance. And he got to be light-skinned. He got to have a ponytail.
Oh. Well, one thing on the water in Michigan, because
bedazzled socks.
Dazzled socks.
Go ahead.
For all the people who think all white people are devils, when the water crisis hit in Michigan, she shipped in trucks and trucks and trucks. She's still doing it, trucks and trucks and trucks of bottled water for all the people in Flint.
There's a lot of hip-hoppers doing that. But that's the difference between education and indoctrination.
You hear that music? I'm going to let you come back. You're going to remember that thought, and when we come right back, you're going to be able to go in. I'll be back in 2.2 seconds. Where the hell did the black man come from? Who made him?
You are watching T Radio V, radio in TV.
Hey, what's up? It's Tone Loc in the house, and you're tuned into T Radio V.
All right, serious business.
Okay,
here.
ready, guys?
Serious business. Radio voice, everybody. Okay, here we go.
Let's just play. We should put music on and just dance for a minute.
Wait. I have to stop and say one thing. I have to say 2 words.
Hey.
So join us and the rest of the T Radio V.
Ready? Are we on? Give me some music. Watch this. Ready?
Wait, are we rolling?
No.
Oh, is this real? Like, I was just totally kidding.
Oh, let's start again. Say that. Okay, start again.
Keep going.
I could do real jazz. Do jazz hands.
That was a shtick. I was doing a shtick. The hair is blonde, it's dye. Just because you don't have any hair and he doesn't have any hair and I have all this fake hair.
Start again.
Fine.
How's the hair and the...
I feel like I'm in a puzzle.
Any show you can have, I can have better. Any show you can have, I can have better.
Are we filming all this? Yep. That's awesome. This is the good stuff. You're short and you know it. I know it was a lot of hodgepodge, but that's good, right? Hodgepodge is good to cut.
Let's do the intro one more time. Menopause.
Hello, T Radio V.
Hello for us.
Hi, guys. My name is Steve Renazizi.
My name is Mary Elizabeth Ellis.
My name is Katie Aselton.
You're watching TV on the radio, but you're not watching it, you're listening to it, because radio on TV.
Hi, T Radio V.
Keep that radio going inside that television set.
I love T Radio V.
Trust her.
T Radio V. Radio in TV.
Radio in TV.
Hey, what's up? It's Tone Loc in the house, and you're tuned into T Radio V.
You are watching T Radio V. Radio in TV.
Riots and rallies ain't shit. The iceberg is always bigger than the tip trip. Found guilty by a jury of 6 bitches. A dead man take the stand as his own witness. This is the America I live in. The criminals roam.
I am not black. I mean, that's what the world calls me, but it's not me. I didn't come out of my mother's womb saying, "Hey everybody, I'm black." No, I was taught to be black. And you were taught to call me that, along with whatever you call yourself. It's just a label. See, from birth, the world force feeds us these labels. And eventually, we all swallow them. We digest and accept the labels, never, ever doubting them. But there's one problem. Labels are not you, and labels are not me. Labels are just labels. But who we truly are is not skin deep. See, when I drive my car, no one would ever confuse the car for me. Well, when I drive my body, why do you confuse me for my body? It's my body. Get it? Not me. Let me break it down. See, our bodies are just cars that we operate and drive around. The dealership we call society decided to label mine the black edition, yours the Irish or white edition. And with no money down, 0% APR, and no test drive, we were forced to own these cars for the rest of our lives. Forgive me, but I fail to see the logic or pride in defining myself or judging another by the cars we drive. Because who we truly are
Greetings. This message goes out to the real white people in America. I need for y'all to saddle up, because we got a problem in Burns, Oregon that needs to be taken care of post haste, because we have a biracial president. I think that he is somewhat afraid to do what needs to be done right now in Burns, Oregon, and that is some fake patriots 24 days ago, armed heavily, came onto federal lands, took over federal buildings, used federal equipment, used federal stationery, and has created a nation within the nation. They want to graze cattle for free. They want to not pay taxes on the land that they have taken over physically. And so far, after 3 weeks, they've met with the FBI, had tea and coffee and, snacks and things, and there's been no gunfire. And we haven't taken back the lands that belong to the United States of America from these fake patriots. In order for this to happen without it being a blowback, I need all the real white folks. They ain't gonna take but a few of y'all, particularly if y'all know how to use them drones. Y'all ain't even gotta leave home. Just send a few drones down to Burns, Oregon, and set them Peckerwoods on fire. Because what they have done is really a game changer if they are allowed to continue that type of anti-constitutional behavior. They wrap themselves in the flag, taking the land, they're using their children, little dumb kids, as human shields. And this has been going on for 3 weeks. The reason you haven't seen it on the national news is because they're afraid of another Waco, they're saying. But as we already know, it's time for the real white folks to step up and show that you're always talking about paying taxes, paying your own way, doing the right thing. This is an opportunity to take them criminals and set their ass on fire and give us back the property that rightly belongs to all of us Americans. So, where are all the real white people at? Burns, Oregon is crying out for you to come home.
For you to come home.
Take my land back.
Now,
I'm
let
done.
me just say how powerful that is. Barack Obama. Well, first off, y'all remember Waco, Texas?
David Koresh.
David Koresh? Them white people, listen, the DEA, the FBI, ATF, all them fools was down there, and it escalated quick, didn't it? See, you could be a sitting white president and have that go down on your watch. You can't be a black president and go in there
and kill
with
all
guns
them there, yeah.
and
Kill
kill white folks
Yes,
on your watch.
Nope.
Even if you didn't authorize
kids
it.
and white kids
it'll that is a powder keg.
Okay.
Now,
That
or
would
race
be-
riot.
yeah, it
in
would-
America. Now, me and Zoe came up with a solution for this on the way to the show today, and that is he needs to come down with the whooping cough for about 3 days and appoint Biden as president and get this mess over with, man. You know what I mean?
Biden
Because that's how they normally handle this shit. That's how they handled Ruby Ridge.
No, they handle everything this way.
That's how they handle it. We're going to go down there, hey,
smash it.
what you doing? You done took over some shit? You ain't supposed to be taking over some shit? Okay, listen, just come out and we can end this shit cool. You not coming out? Oh, we not supposed to have tear gas, are we? Okay, throw them tear gas canisters in that bitch. And, oh, them shit caught on fire too. Oh, this shit is, you see how they burnt down Waco?
But the one motherfucker they didn't do that to was Cliven Bundy, the racist dude.
Same guy. It's his son that's in charge in Oregon right now.
Yeah, but he
Wow.
see because those type of cats are on the law, so he knows law that they couldn't come in and do
No,
certain
that's not
things.
true.
Huh?
That's not the reason they didn't do that. I tell you why they didn't do that. It's because of who he is. He is a white man.
It's David Cruz.
No. His cattle right now. He can't sell his cattle because he's saying that he's got a right to graze those cattle without paying grazing fees. He owe over $1 million right now. If he was anything other than Cliven Bundy, they'd went and snatched him and those cattle. So all that stuff you're talking about.
But even with that, either way, it's still white privilege.
That's the bottom
Because
line.
if this were, okay, it's me, Kev, fucking Bobby, Tony, and some of our women.
No, we already done got barbecued and put some
We
sauce
already
on.
dead.
Yeah.
We already dead. They
Yeah.
didn't shot us.
Yeah.
From like.
No, that's not why they didn't go in on Clive.
Bobby, his property. There's certain. He's claiming the sovereign type of shit.
You can claim all you want to.
And in that,
You can claim all you want to.
There's actual law that secures your property, and so this is the laws he's asserting, which is why they couldn't go in there and smash him like that. Because if they did, and then he goes and he lets out all this bullshit.
Now they had a right to go in there once he said that they had a right to take his cattle because he had used and is still using government money. All right, he borrowed $500,000 that he ain't paid back, and those cows are collateral. They can go and take them cows, but they got to take him. And that's what they didn't want to do is because, again, that happened on a black man's watch.
And I'm going to say this, Kev. The United States government of America currently is not operating under any constitution.
None.
They are doing some shit.
They're operating. They're
that's
operating
been like
no,
what?
they are. They're
What
operating under
Constitution?
the Constitution of the United States of America instead of the Constitution for the United States of America.
They
which are
operating
two
under some
different
shit
constitutions.
that other people ain't operating under,
But
right?
they are, but you just don't know what they operate.
It's all subjective. It's all interpreted by folks that can forcefully impose their will. I'm telling you, if Cliven Bundy had pulled that stuff when George Bush was president,
George Bush
it's
would
been a
have killed
different
him.
outcome. Yeah, just that simple.
I know y'all don't understand this, man. But
No,
I'm telling
I
you from
understand
experience,
sovereignty, man. No, they don't play that, man. When you start messing with that money,
okay,
they don't play
I
that, man.
had 2 warrants, man. I
We
had
know
2
about your
warrants.
warrants. We know about your
And
warrants.
didn't have to go to court to get them wiped away.
Well, keep going back with that. All right.
You understand?
Keep
Yeah,
going.
keep going back with that.
What
I'm
they
doing-
tried that
I'm doing it.
sovereignty stuff, and his paperwork wasn't right, and he ended up doing
Well, my
penitentiary time.
my
What's his
paperwork
name?
is right.
Wesley
He
Snipes.
just got out of jail. Yeah,
No,
he just got out of jail.
that's not what happened to Wesley. That's not what happened. Wesley was doing some other stuff.
Man, it's
Wesley,
well,
whatever Wesley did was
That's
on
what
some
just
other
that,
tax
that is
thing.
what happened with Mos
Wesley
Def.
not- Wesley don't have
Mos
what I
Def.
got.
It just happened to in South Africa.
What happened with Mos Def?
They said he had
don't
a
like
mo-
being called Mos Def, man.
Okay,
Yasin-
Say his name right, pimp.
Yasin Bey.
Yeah, man, don't disrespect the God.
He was in South Africa with a Moorish passport, and the South African government said his passport was an illegal passport.
Invalid?
Yeah, invalid passport.
That's not what I'm talking
And they
about.
put him in jail, and they kicking him out the country. Him and his family got to go.
That's not what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Dude, that's not what I'm talking about. That's other boy. I'm talking about knowing actually the law that's on the books in the courts. I ain't talking about his Moorish bullshit. I'm talking about actual law that's on the court.
But
that
it
will
ain't
get you
bullshit
out of
to
shit.
him and the people that
It ain't-
believe
Yeah,
that. you
yeah.
know.
All the Moors who believe
There
that.
are a lot of Moes who looking at this show right now.
Ain't happy
they
about
love,
that.
They ain't
No.
happy about it, man.
I know they ain't happy about it.
'Cause I know
However, I went through that, and that's why I know it's bullshit, because once you go through that shit, they'll still snatch your ass up. That's why I had to find the correct way to be able to do it. In
So
the
what
law,
is
in the
the
law,
correct way?
There's something they'll tell you in the law. There's right and correct. Now, when most people go to court, they have an idea of what they want to say, and they're right usually, but they're not correct. You need to be correct when you walk into the court and dealing with the law, meaning you have to say whatever in the books on law. You have to be in line with that. And most Moors, when they go in there, they're doing interpretation of what the
Well,
law
let me ask you a
what they're trying
question.
to say.
Do you pay taxes?
No.
Really?
You don't pay income tax?
No. Income is defined as corporate profit.
Okay. Well, do you pay any
Down
tax
with you.
other
Now
than
on.
sales tax?
That's the only tax that you actually supposed to pay.
No, that's not the question. The question is, do you pay
you pay
California state tax or national federal tax? Do you pay those?
I pay taxes when I go to the store.
Okay.
That's when I pay tax. It's called an indirect. It's called an indirect
I know
tax.
what it
which
is.
the
I'm
only
not-
tax
I'm
they're
not
only supposed to levy on you.
I was just asking, and I'm not trying to have these folks on you. I just know that some people have said they don't pay taxes because of their sovereignty and what have you. And I was just wondering if you were able to do that successfully yourself.
Well, you have to understand the
You
law.
kinda
and what
hesitated
that-
a little bit,
No,
'cause,
You should have helped Wesley
Well,
out.
I'm not.
man.
I'm not.
We didn't
I'm
even-
not sitting up here. I'm not sitting up here and trying to
Asking
put all
for
my
that
weight
heat.
out.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
That's not it. But you
should
understand.
be.
There's different terms in law. There's indirect taxes and direct tax, which is what income tax is, and that is illegal. It's literally been deemed illegal by the Supreme Court. They cannot legally charge you income tax, and all you got to do is go dispute it. That's it.
Well, then what happened to Wesley then? I want to
Wesley-
understand what happened to Wesley Snipes.
Because Wesley had to pay the money and still go to jail.
But no,
Yeah.
Judge Joe Brown.
not just
Judge
him.
Joe Brown was trying to get Wesley out. Was trying to get Wesley off. And what happened is whoever his tax due was fucked him up. And so Judge Joe Brown came in and he testified for Wesley and tried to say that everything that happened to Wesley wasn't Wesley's fault. But they didn't want to hear that because they were trying to make an example of Wesley for the tax sovereign movement because he was a big name. But what happened to Wesley wasn't his fault. It was his tax person's fault who he had do all his shit.
Well, then why are so many people? Because I know I dabbled with that for a minute, and I had to back away from it. But I know people that have attempted to do that, and I've yet to see anybody
do it
successfully.
Yeah.
I think number one reason for that,
they don't know what they do.
They don't know what they're doing, number one. Number two, don't get it twisted. Those commissioners, because they're not judges.
They're not judges.
They're commissioners. Those commissioners are somewhere studying the sovereignty movement.
Thank you.
They announced
Yes.
that shit because they understand there is a premise and it is some truth to it, but it's so convoluted, it's difficult. It's almost like finance and economics. There's some people out there don't know what the fuck is going on. Should we lower interest rates or raise them? We don't know what the fuck gonna happen. The sovereignty movement is like that too.
Yes.
It's a lot of shit you have to be studied on, and I'm gonna tell you this.
Yes.
if you go in there with the half-baked science,
You going to penitentiary.
you going to jail.
You fucked.
Because that's how they get down.
I'm trying to
They love saying ignorance is no excuse of the law.
You are fucked.
So
if
you come
walk-
in
yes.
there, and if one comma is out of place,
They have
that's your
100
ass.
million
I got
ways to get you into jurisdiction. Like, most people don't even understand. Like, when you go to court and the judge says, can you approach the bench? Or when you walk through those doors, that puts you in jurisdiction. When you walk through the front door with that flag right next to the door with the gold fringe, that puts you in jurisdiction.
What kind of flag is that?
What do you mean?
Isn't that an admiralty?
Oh, admiralty jurisdiction. You're walking into admiralty jurisdiction when you walk inside of a court, which is law of the water. So when you walk into a court, now you on law of the water. If you don't know shit about the law of the water, your ass is in jurisdiction.
Now, my next question is, that means that you don't have a Social Security card, you don't have a driver's license, any form of identity, right?
I refuse to answer that question at this time.
I'm not doing that to
We're
put
just
you on
trying
the
to
spot.
figure it out, right?
You know, because I've
Just
seen
know,
people
just
get caught
know,
up with.
I
you know what
I
mean?
know the
Yeah.
law and how to get and how to move freely throughout the system.
I mean,
without
'cause
being
believe
accosted
you
or
me,
harassed.
So when they lock shit down, you're gonna be the first one to go, son. You
What's
out.
interesting about this conversation here in particular is that just listening to Kev and the questions that Bobby is asking Kev, if you didn't know that this shit is locked down in a legal grid for you to navigate through, just listening to them have this conversation is revealing that grid of legality.
Right.
You think you just wake up,
I'm
roll
not
out the
putting
bed,
him
and
on-
walk down the block.
Yeah,
It's-
no.
I'm not putting him on the spot. I just had to know that because
I don't mind at all. But
Well, I do,
you know,
but
we
I
don't,
know,
if you
man,
want to
this
really
is-
notice to know some of that stuff about my personal stuff, then we can get off
right
the air.
because I know
But-
people who dabbled in it.
Yeah,
And
I don't dabble.
They got shut down. you know.
I didn't dabble. I
They
did
got
this
shut
shit like
down.
Kobe Bryant.
You can't dabble it. You
Nah.
can't dabble.
Zoe seen my paperwork.
Yeah, you can't dab. You can't.
I don't fuck around. I don't fuck around, man.
Ain't no dabbling.
No dabbling.
Ain't no dabbling. That's that real
No,
shit.
and this is crazy because in the search for who you are historically, it's almost impossible because the victor of the war gets to rewrite your story too. Whoever wins the war gets to rewrite
That's right.
history.
That's right.
And that's where it gets real tricky, you know, because even if you write, they can just, you know, detain you long enough to put you in a situation where it's problematic. Fortunately for you, you're the exception. I just know a lot of people, and I want to get back to the blackness of this, because if you're a black person trying to play that part right there, then you got to add that to it, you know, because I know a lot of those hillbillies tried that sovereignty stuff, and it was a different situation.
Yeah, that's a different situation for them, yes.
But when Wesley tried that, they put his picture right square dead in the middle.
This was gonna happen to
Perk
y'all.
walk, everything.
Yeah,
You know?
and they used him as an example.
Absolutely.
And I don't, and just I want to say this: people don't go out there and trying to dip into the sovereignty movement and try to fuck with shit and get fucked up. There's so many facets to it, the UCC and you know all this different shit that you can get caught up in. So I say take your time and learn it. Like if you really want to understand it, you can get at me on my YouTube channel, and I'll give you some information. But
What's the YouTube channel?
Real Nagas, REELNAGAS. And just get at me on that channel, and I'll give you some information where you can get started.
Because that was going to be my next question. Who is the Albert Einstein of the sovereignty movement? We got to find his ass and get tutored.
That would be me.
I'm just saying.
That would be me.
That's, because otherwise, somebody going to dab and then go to jail. That's because that's
in that order.
Right.
Now, but I don't, because I've done this for so long though. I don't really teach people unless I know that you're really on this shit.
Right.
Because I've broke some people off with some information, they ran with it and fucked off some shit, and fucked themselves off.
I know.
You know who I'm talking about. Zoe knows who I'm talking about. So, I don't just hand this stuff out, as freely as I used to. You have to really show that that's your movement, that's what you're trying to do, and then I'll help you out with it. But I've studied this shit like Kobe studies jump shots and fadeaways and shit like that. That's how I was on this shit. And so that's why I was able to get myself.
I'll say one more thing about
you
Kobe.
better your ass.
I told you, Bobby.
Bobby done lost his damn mind over there.
Greatest Laker of all time, and you in here talking crazy.
My Lord. Have mercy.
Of course, Bobby is pro Jerry West.
It ain't just Jerry, man. You talking about Kareem and Magic? Come
You take
on,
them
man.
over Kobe?
All day, every day.
Okay, let's go off the air. What's up? What Bobby's ass? And then we can come right back. All right?
Take the stand as his own witness. This is the America I live in. The criminals roam free and the victims go to prison. But we was born in prison, been living in poor conditions. So death is the sentence and your skin is your conviction. I realize this is the trial we ain't winning.
You are watching T Radio V. Radio in TV.
T Radio V. What did you play opposite Andy, Eric? Do you remember?
Andy and I worked as two employees at a network.
Okay. Oh, you're
And,
forgetting the other thing.
I played a news anchor, and he played a reporter.
Okay, but the other thing you did, the thing you did on the Andy Dick show, who did you play to Andy?
Oh, is that gonna play my sister?
You played his wife, Denise.
Yeah.
Yeah, you played his wife.
Yeah.
You
So
guys
what's
had
wrong
to-
with that, Elijah?
Nothing's wrong with it.
He's got a great range as an actor.
Yeah, it just was funny.
Encounters with Eric and Eliza Roberts, Wednesdays from 2 to 4 p.m. on T Radio V.
Hey, I'm Dean Cain, and you are watching T Radio V. I'm watching it too. Right now. Seriously.
Hey geeks, wake up! We've got big news. I'm not gonna mumble this time. Geekscape, the long-running movie video game. Let me do one more. Hey geeks, we got big news! Geekscape, your favorite show about movies, video games, comics, and TV, is coming to T Radio V Monday, October 6th. And it'll be on every Monday from then on, 7 p.m. Until the apocalypse happens, we're all eaten by zombies.
Radio V.
And it's Mary Carey, of course, politically naughty with Mary Carey.
I'm always naughty. I'm always politically. My behavior is always politically
naughty.
I'm never politically correct.
Dr.
Dr.
Drew.
Drew, hi. Oh, I'm so.
Guys, how are you? It's all teary-eyed, Doctor.
I know. She wished she could live at rehab.
But only if Dr. Drew's there. Obviously,
Sure.
if someone like, you know, because a little too groping might be inappropriate. But I like the flirting and stuff.
When I
don't
walked in,
know.
you shoved my head in your.
No! Are you gonna sue me?
Get politically naughty with Mary Carey, Mondays at 4 p.m. on T Radio V.
Yo, what's up? This your boy Kyle Master, and you're checking out T Radio V.
T Radio V.
T Radio V.
Hello, T Radio V. Love you guys. Radio in TV. Radio in TV.
You are watching T Radio V. Radio in TV.
Of Africans to the Europeans. No European ever went into the hinterland to raid for slaves. It was the Africans who did it. And before the Europeans even landed here, slavery was already in the system. It was slaves that worked in the palaces for the kings.
I thought it was more, even at that time, than just money. It had to be just something else that drove them to just kill these people.
Yeah, why brutalize them like that?
Why brutalize? But then again, I guess that's justification on rationalization. If you brutalize it, then you have to say to yourself, there's no way we as a Christian people could brutalize other humans, so they can't be humans.
But did it surprise you when you found out that Africans were involved as well as middlemen?
The thing, I knew that Africans were involved. I didn't know the extent to what they were involved. And I also didn't know that once they found out what was going on here, and I know that they had to know what was going on here, that they stayed a willing participant in it. That's the crazy part of it.
I think I was surprised and hurt and angry
and everything, because, these were people that, I sort of had a fantasy about them and as our ancestors, and your ancestors don't sell you. So that fantasy was sort of blown away. And
the dirtiest secret in African American history is that a surprisingly high percentage of the free Negroes in the South owned slaves themselves. And some of them owned, we explain it away by saying, oh, but they only own their mother, or they only own, they own their mother, they own their sister, they own their wife, and they own some other workers too. A surprisingly high number owned workers who they did not liberate.
How about the free blacks in America in 1860 during slavery? The leading African-American historian, John Hope Franklin of Duke, records that in New Orleans, which had the largest concentration of free blacks in the South, over 3,000 or 28% of free Negroes owned slaves. So free blacks in New Orleans were 5 times more likely to have black slaves than the average white Southerner. You see, there's no unique evil in white people. So you take into account African history, and African American is far more likely to have a direct ancestor who enslaved black people than is a white person. Should black people today be punished for their history of slavery? That sounds crazy, doesn't it? But it's exactly what the discrimination against whites and reparations are justified by.
Get in the chop.
Sometimes you gotta play something ugly. See, people want me to just be in alignment with whoever everybody else is in alignment with. What I'm gonna do is show you how the diamond works. Listen, a diamond can't be brilliant unless it's multifaceted. Facets, in this case, represent perspectives. Everybody want me to say some shit everybody else is saying and get in line with everybody else. No, I'm going to challenge the prevailing narrative. Now, the whole purpose of this topic, who created the black man? Who is the author of that narrative? And now we sitting here and we walk through some historical, some educational, some empirical data, legal data to show that racism is a social construct that's used to create a ruling class. Now, if it's created to rule a ruling class, the ruling class got to rule somebody.
Second-class citizenship.
So what we gonna do with the 4 million niggas that's about to be released through the Emancipation Proclamation? Somebody got to get ruled up in here, right? We can't have these niggas running around thinking that, you know, they no longer 3/5 or they're no longer chattel.
Nope.
We can't let them have a vote. Let's create the KKK, first terrorist group. Let's get them in here with a job to keep the nigga from the ballot box, right? To keep the black.
Keep
now,
niggas from working.
Now the question is, why all of this? Why was all of this constructed in the way that it was constructed? This answer will reveal to you an unbeknownst to you source of power. Why did they create this elaborate social construct called white supremacy or called racism? Why did they create that, Bobby?
Because it works. When you look at the people that took the time to organize themselves hundreds of years ago, maybe even, it depends on what your historical perspective is on that. There's a group of people that came together in a way, and they understood human nature well enough to know that if you can divide enough people along enough lines, we can sit up here and just move the strings. And that's pretty much what's happening now. And I go back to poor white folks and everybody else, because they are in worse shape. And they would not trade being white for anything. And to the upper echelon, you can't do nothing but just bravo, because they did a wonderful job of putting that message out there that no matter what, hold on to your whiteness.
Hold on to your whiteness.
Forget about your humanity. Forget about the fact that you are living at the bottom rung of the ladder, and hold on to that whiteness. And then for you black folks, you know, hold on to that blackness in the opposite direction. All right, don't embrace that blackness or darkness or whatever you want to call it, because at the end of the day, we all born to die. But can't nobody get around the fact that we look at it totally different because we live different types of lives. And until we get at the root cause of what separates people, and nobody really wants to have that conversation without being called an Uncle Tom and this, that, and the other. And I'm sorry, I know some people that don't happen to be black that are very humane. And I'm not going to dismiss those people because other folks get caught up in this color thing. Even though I have to identify on a daily basis with people who look like me because I live with them and I come from them. And I get tired of having to fight over here and over there over somebody else's perception of what's really going on.
Thank you.
Very heavy shit.
Yes.
Y'all saw what Clarence Thomas just said, right?
Man, you know what, man? I almost had a conniption.
But do we disagree with it?
I disagree with him saying it, simply because he's sitting in that chair because of the people that he has disassociated himself with. He was a C student. And then he closed the door behind him on affirmative action. Come on, man.
Clarence Thomas used slavery in his dissent against marriage equality. And he was talking about just because the, same-sex marriage people are, they don't lose their dignity because they're being ridiculed and they're being, suppressed or were being suppressed. The law passed. But he used racism or he used slavery. He basically said slaves didn't lose their dignity during slavery.
Give me 30 seconds on that. Dignity and slavery are mutually inclusive. Because you cannot be a slave and be dignified. How are you going to be a dignified slave?
He was speaking, I think, in an existentialist kind of spiritual way to say your dignity can't be taken from you. It's an innate thing. It's an inalienable thing.
Your dignity can be beat out of you.
Now, what I want Kev to do, what does the word dignity mean?
Dignity, or the etymology of dignity, means worth.
So right
well,
there.
What are you worth if you're a slave?
How about it?
There you go.
I understood the lofty, flowery shit he was trying to frame it as, but the reality of it is, when you have a worth, that means you're a slave. See, people don't understand. Human life, the human spirit, the soul, is priceless.
Yep.
Okay, I smoke a bag of that with you. But as a human being, and somebody say you worth $17.54, you're a good strong buck. Get your ass out there and bale this hay and milk these cows and plow the field. Your dignity takes a hit.
Thank you.
Now you can know in yourself
that you the shit.
I'm worth way more than that. Fuck him. Right? It's some bullshit. He playing games. Right? You can say that shit to yourself.
Feel like whip hit your back.
But do you understand, when you put in that position, you cannot tell me. Some of us had indomitable spirits that couldn't be broken. Nat Turner, fuck that. I'm killing Whitey this evening. Me and these crew, we gonna maraud on some Whitey. Great. But a lot of us were broken. And you can see that brokenness. Tell me you cannot see that brokenness in the African American man today.
Your worth is tied, I think, to your productivity in a lot of ways. If you're in a situation where you go to a job and at the end of your week, you still short. You go to another job or you create your own job and you got surplus. You got a different perception of worth, a totally different perception
But see, here's the beautiful thing. Bobby's saying something that's hella amazing right now. The educational system, just like this brother just broke it out right here, at @fresh_flames1 on Twitter. Without education, the streets can become an assembly line which manufactures state property and corporate slaves. state property, and corporate slaves. I tell my son all day in America, my sons, they're going to make money off of you one way or the other. You're going to either work for them in a corporate setting or you're going to work for them in a prison setting. They're going to get that bread from you in some way. You'd rather be on the other end, but education. I got you, brother. Fucking education is designed to turn out a certain kind of person. This goes back to my whole point of who created you? Where is the Negro Galileo? Because he exists, right? Imhotep.
Yes.
Yep.
Where are the new generations of Imhotep? Where is the new generation Tahuti or Ptah? Where the new generation that, brother? We don't even go to school anymore to broaden ourselves to that level. We go to school to be see, when we get on that assembly line, we think, I'm doing good. Mama, look, I did this. That's what Bobby's talking about, productivity. We're productive, we're producing. No, you're being consumed by a system that's designed to eat your life up. Yep. You got 35, 40 Christmases to go and then it's over.
It's all about models of possibility as opposed to role models. Role models get people in trouble because if you got a specialty, that's a model of possibility. Other than that, you're a human being with flaws. All right, you got people who are brilliant at one thing, and as human beings, they are just, you get disappointed when you meet them. That's what has happened in our society. We attach ourselves to these false narratives and these false images. Michael Jordan is an incredible basketball player. But if you had a chance to meet him, you'd probably change your mind about him as a person. Being. Oh, right. It's a big difference. Same thing with other folk. And I simply say that we want to begin to teach young people to open up their minds and be able to pick and choose what route they want to take that leads them to a path of self-determination.
Right.
And I want to say...
Wait, we got to go. Sorry. Well, this show has absolutely nothing to do with white people. It really doesn't. This show is urging you to become a life author. Your narrative, right? We gave you all these definitions. This is what black mean. This is what it don't mean. This is a social construct. This is, racism is a trick, right? Classism is the real hustle. All that. We gave you all that. Now what you gonna do? What life you gonna write? Every aspect of our lives in America, what we aspire to be. I aspire to be a great actor. Oh, in Hollywood, that's controlled by the Jews. That's controlled by people who tell the stories the way they want to tell the stories, and it's not necessarily accurate to how you view the world. You just a side clueless piece. I said that on purpose. Stacey Dash, right?
Oh,
you just a little clueless piece that's added, right? So you want your narrative spoken, then you got to speak it. You got to write it.
Yes.
You don't know where to start. You got to start where you are, but you got to do that history. You got to do that work. I guarantee you, if you start searching historical caches of information that are located outside of the United States, you're going to find out some shit about who you really are or who you used to be. And then you're going to be able to come back with some of that information. If you go to the Philippines and you get behind the veil, because there's a lot of classism and colorism over there. The people over there get mad as hell when they send one of their delegates to represent them in Miss Universe or Miss World or whatever. They say, we don't look like this woman.
Right.
Why y'all? What y'all doing? People in Brazil feel the same way. When you go to Africa, you start seeing the real history. You go to Mexico. Hey, before the Spanish, like that fight between Alvarez and Cotto.
Right.
That was a racial fight. A lot of people don't understand.
Yeah, that was. Yep.
Mexicans versus Puerto Ricans. And understand something about the Mexican situation. They separated too.
Yep.
Alvarez is one of them white Mexicans,
Spain.
Spaniards, the Spains,
yes.
right? This is a real situation. Go do your history, folks.
Yes.
Write your narrative. That's what this show is about. Fuck his narrative. Fuck his definition of what black is. What is yours? I'm Zoe Williams, and that's my final thought. Yo, everybody, we got to wrap it. Bobby, where can they find you?
At Glanton Smith on Twitter and realmendon'tplay.com.
YouTube channel, Real Nagas, REELNAGAS, and for the online training, that's 3bbootcamp.com, the number 3/BBB online. Can I say this about the Oscars?
Go.
The Oscars?
We gotta go.
The Oscar is Patah. Just so everybody knows. The
You just
Oscar
gonna say
is
it anyway.
Patah.
Fucking Aries. Go ahead.
Tony B. Conscious. You can look me up online, www.consciousent.com or Tony B. Conscious, Twitter.
I'm going to say it again. We Juice, relationship dismount. Go buy it right now. Shepherd Sweets. They done ate all this candy since it was here. Please continue to support all of these black businesses. They thrive on your participation. And you guys would just be some selfish cats if you just tune in for the knowledge and not support the business. That's how the homeboy said. I only come here for the knowledge. I'm tired of him selling shit. Yeah, guess what? Go get the book and support everybody's business. We appreciate y'all. We got to bounce. Deuces.
Trust their police because of what the pastors taught us. They lawless and they heartless. The evil and they godless. This is holy war regardless. And it's evident I'm militant. That don't mean I'm violent. Contrary to your rights, it ain't right to remain silent. Not when all our kids are dying. Somebody gotta fight to protect what's right. So when faced with violence, fight is what you do to protect your life. And I can't keep quiet. We can't keep on marching the rallies. I have another riot trying to boycott.
You are watching T Radio V, Radio MTV.